Chapter 1, The Day the Galactic Council Chose War. The chamber of the Galactic Council floated beneath a transparent dome larger than most cities. Beyond it, rivers of starlight stretched across the void, connecting thousands of inhabited worlds. Representatives from hundreds of species occupied their assigned platforms, each one a testament to the vast diversity of intelligent life. For 3 centuries, this assembly had maintained peace. Today, that peace was beginning to crack. At the center of the chamber stood High Marshal Vexthor. Tall and broad-shouldered, the Dominion commander carried himself with the confidence of a conqueror who had never suffered defeat. His dark military armor reflected the glow of holographic displays surrounding him. A projection of a blue world rotated above the council floor. Earth. Humanity's expansion rate exceeds all projections, Vexthor declared. Their shipyards have doubled production in less than 20 years. Their scientific output grows faster than any member civilization at a comparable stage. A counselor from a crystalline species emitted a faint shimmer. Humans occupy a single system, she replied. Hardly a galactic threat. Several delegates signaled agreement. Vexthor expected that reaction. They occupied one world once, he said. Now they command an entire star system while refusing council oversight. History teaches us that emerging powers become dangerous when ignored. Murmurs spread across the chamber. The image shifted. Charts appeared. Fleet estimates. Industrial projections. Population trends. Most of the data was accurate. The conclusions were not. A representative from a merchant alliance leaned forward. Your report suggests military intentions. Where is the evidence? Vexthor paused. It was a calculated pause. Evidence often arrives after disaster. The statement landed exactly as intended. Fear was easier to spread than facts. Another delegate spoke. The humans have never attacked a council world. Neither had previous threats before they acted, Vexthor answered. Must we wait until their fleets are at our borders? Silence followed. The Dominion commander knew he was winning. For years he had watched humanity develop beyond expectations. Their technology advanced rapidly. Their economy expanded without council support. Most concerning of all, they adapted faster than established powers. Species like that changed the balance of history. Vexthor intended to stop them before that happened. The debate continued for hours. Some argued for diplomacy. Others favored observation. Yet with every discussion, uncertainty grew. Eventually the proposal appeared before the chamber. Authorize military intervention against Earth. The vote began. Lights illuminated across hundreds of platforms. One by one, decisions registered. When the count finished, the result appeared overhead. Approved. The margin was narrow. It didn't matter. The decision had been made. Vexthor hid his satisfaction behind a disciplined expression. The Dominion fleet will ensure a swift resolution. No one noticed the faint smile in his eyes. Far beyond council territory, inside the Sol system, humanity remained unaware that its future had just been decided. At least officially. Deep beneath the Himalayas, inside one of Earth's strategic command centers, Admiral Ethan Ward studied a stream of intelligence reports. The room was quiet except for the hum of processors. A technician approached his station. Sir, we've detected another concentration of council military traffic near the Perseus corridor. Ward looked up. How many formations? 7 confirmed. Possibly more. That got his attention. Fleet movements happened constantly throughout known space. This pattern was different. Too organized. Too deliberate. Ward stood and walked toward a wall-sized display. Colored markers spread across a 3-dimensional map of nearby sectors. One cluster alone meant little. Several moving in the same direction meant something else. Have we received confirmation from the outer listening posts? He asked. An hour ago. The technician handed him a data slate. Ward read silently. His expression hardened. For months, human intelligence agencies had monitored unusual activity around Dominion territory. None of it justified alarm by itself. Together, however, the pieces formed a disturbing picture. A second officer entered. "The Security Council is waiting, Admiral." Ward nodded. Minutes later, representatives from Earth's governments appeared through secure holographic links. The atmosphere was serious from the beginning. No introductions. No formalities. Ward activated the strategic display. Red markers expanded across the map. Several leaders exchanged uneasy looks. One of them spoke first. "You believe this is directed at us?" "I believe we should prepare as if it is," Ward answered. The room fell silent. Preparation carried enormous consequences. Shipyards would shift production. Defense networks would activate. Emergency protocols dormant for generations would awaken. Nobody made the recommendation lightly. Finally, the Secretary General asked the question everyone was thinking. "If you're wrong?" Ward folded his hands. "Then we lose nothing except caution." "And if you're right?" His eyes moved toward the glowing red formations approaching human space. "Then preparation may save our species." The decision came quickly. Not because humanity sought conflict. Because history had taught painful lessons about ignoring warning signs. Orders spread across Earth within hours. Hidden facilities unlocked sealed compartments. Defense platforms powered up. Long-dormant monitoring stations came online. Across the solar system, systems designed for humanity's darkest day quietly awakened. Late that evening, Ward stood alone inside the command center. A young officer approached. "Do you think they're really coming?" Ward stared at the stars displayed beyond the reinforced observation window. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he looked back toward the tactical map. Fresh alerts were appearing every minute. More fleets. More movement. More evidence. "If they truly intend to invade," he said quietly, "they've just declared war on the wrong species." Chapter 2, The Battle They Thought They Had Already Won. 3 weeks later, the Dominion invasion fleet crossed the edge of the Sol system. The sight would have terrified most civilizations. Thousands of warships emerged from hyperspace in organized formations. Massive carriers stretched for kilometers. Cruisers surrounded them in layered defensive screens. Behind them followed supply vessels, troop transports, and support craft. To High Marshal Vexthor, the display was reassuring. Victory looked exactly as it should. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, Dominion's Wrath, studying the tactical projection. "The humans have not fled," an officer reported. Vexthor almost laughed. "Where would they go?" The officer lowered his gaze. No answer was necessary. Earth was humanity's only home. A transmission alert appeared. "Incoming signal from the Sol system." "Display it." The hologram of Admiral Ethan Ward materialized above the command deck. Calm. Composed. Unarmed. A surprising choice for a man facing annihilation. Ward spoke without hesitation. "High Marshal Vexthor, this is Admiral Ethan Ward of the United Earth Defense Fleet." The bridge fell silent. "You have entered sovereign territory with military forces. Withdraw immediately. Humanity seeks peace and remains willing to negotiate." Several Dominion officers exchanged amused looks. Ward continued. "If you proceed, you will be treated as hostile." Vexthor stepped forward. "You issue warnings from a position of weakness." "No," Ward replied. "I issue them from a position of responsibility." The connection ended. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then laughter spread across the bridge. Vexthor smiled. "The humans still believe they have options." His fleet resumed its advance. Hours later, Dominion forces approached Neptune's orbital region. Long-range scans detected the first human defenses. The reports were underwhelming. A few battle groups. Several outdated stations. Limited heavy tonnage. Exactly what Dominion intelligence had predicted. One commander frowned. Should we proceed cautiously? Vexthor shook his head. They are attempting to appear stronger than they are. The order went out. Advance. The invasion fleet accelerated. Then everything changed. Warning alarms exploded across the bridge. Energy spike detected. Source unknown. Before anyone could react, space itself seemed to ignite. Thousands of hidden objects activated simultaneously. The darkness surrounding Neptune erupted with motion. Minefields. Not ordinary explosives. Dense clusters of autonomous weapons launched from concealed positions. Entire squadrons of Dominion ships vanished beneath overlapping detonations. Shockwaves rippled through formation lines. What happened? Vexthor demanded. A second alert arrived. Then a third. Then dozens more. Long-range kinetic projectiles slammed into Dominion vessels from impossible distances. Ships shattered before their sensors identified the launch points. Chaos spread through the armada. Human drones emerged next. Small. Fast. Disposable. Millions of them. They swarmed like metallic insects, overwhelming defensive systems through sheer numbers. Targeting arrays failed. Communications relays collapsed. Missile batteries misfired. For the first time in decades, Dominion formations lost cohesion. A tactical officer stared at his display. We are losing cruisers. How many? 43 confirmed. The number kept rising. Vexthor clenched his jaw. This was impossible. Primitive civilizations did not execute operations like this. Yet the evidence filled every screen. Human commanders weren't fighting according to established doctrine. They struck supply nodes instead of warships. They attacked sensor networks before weapons platforms. They forced confusion before destruction. The strategy felt unfamiliar. Unpredictable. Dangerous. Near Neptune's orbit, Earth vessels finally revealed themselves. Smaller than Dominion battleships. Faster. Their formations shifted constantly. Each maneuver seemed designed to create uncertainty. One moment they attacked. The next they disappeared behind planetary shadows or debris fields. By the time Dominion guns acquired targets, those targets had already moved. Hours passed. Losses mounted. Then, unexpectedly, the human fleet withdrew. Dominion survivors regrouped. The battlefield fell quiet. An uneasy silence settled over the flagship. A commander broke it first. They're retreating. Vexthor studied the tactical map. Human ships were falling back toward the inner system. Not fleeing. Relocating. There was a difference. Prepare pursuit operations, he ordered. The command sounded confident. Inside, doubt had begun to form. Far away, on Aurelius Prime, emergency reports flooded the Galactic Council. Delegates gathered in disbelief. Casualty numbers scrolled across massive displays. Destroyed cruisers. Disabled carriers. Heavy material losses. A counselor stared at the data. This cannot be correct. A military analyst answered. The information has been verified. Murmurs filled the chamber. No one had expected such resistance. The invasion was supposed to be straightforward. Instead, the first major engagement had become a disaster. Back on Earth, Admiral Ward watched battle recordings inside Strategic Command. His staff celebrated. Ward did not. A young officer noticed. We won. Ward shook his head. We survived the opening move. He enlarged Dominion fleet projections. Despite their losses, the enemy still possessed overwhelming numerical superiority. One successful engagement changed nothing. The war had only begun. Nearby, engineers entered carrying fresh reports recovered from disabled alien vessels. One scientist placed a tablet on the conference table. You'll want to see this. Ward reviewed the information. Power systems. Weapons architecture. Communication protocols. Technical specifications. His eyes narrowed. The Dominion possessed advanced technology. It also possessed weaknesses. Predictable weaknesses. The scientist leaned forward. We've already started testing countermeasures. How long? The room exchanged glances. Excitement replaced exhaustion. Finally, the lead engineer smiled. Give us 48 hours. Ward looked up. For what? The scientist's grin widened. Then we'll turn their own technology against them. Chapter 3, Humanity Strikes Back. 48 hours after the Battle of Neptune, the war changed. Inside a secured laboratory beneath Luna's military complex, human engineers worked around the clock. Captured Dominion components lay disassembled across workstations. Every circuit, signal pathway, and energy relay had been studied relentlessly. The aliens possessed superior technology. That advantage lasted exactly 2 days. Admiral Ethan Ward entered the research center and stopped beside a holographic display. What do you have? Lead engineer Dr. Elena Vasquez smiled. A gift from our invaders. She activated the projection. Dominion communication systems appeared in glowing blue. Every fleet in their military relies on synchronized command architecture. Efficient. Powerful. Ward folded his arms. And vulnerable? Extremely. She tapped the display. Sections turned red. We can disrupt coordination without firing a shot. For the first time since the invasion began, Ward allowed himself a faint smile. Deploy it. Hours later, the first human counteroffensive launched. Not toward enemy warships. Toward their lifelines. Deep beyond Neptune, Dominion supply convoys moved steadily toward the front. Fuel reserves, ammunition stocks, replacement parts, and medical resources traveled under minimal escort. No commander expected humans to leave their own system. That assumption became expensive. Small human task forces emerged from hidden jump routes. Fast attack ships struck without warning. Missiles ripped through cargo carriers. Storage platforms erupted into expanding fireballs. Before escorts could respond, the attackers vanished. Across multiple sectors, similar reports arrived. One convoy disappeared. Then another. Then 3 more. Within days, supply losses exceeded battlefield casualties. On Dominion's wrath, Vexthor stared at incoming updates with growing disbelief. They attacked where? Sector 17 Logistics Hub. Another officer interrupted. And the Tarsus Relay Station. A third voice followed. We've also lost fuel reserves near the Orion Corridor. The bridge became uncomfortably quiet. No civilization fought this way. Most species focused on direct engagements. Humans targeted everything supporting those engagements. The distinction mattered. A fleet without supplies became useless regardless of size. Vexthor slammed a fist against his command console. They are avoiding decisive battle. They're choosing decisive targets, one commander answered carefully. The observation earned a dangerous look. No one spoke again. Meanwhile, news spread beyond military circles. Throughout the galaxy, reports of humanity's resistance reached worlds that had barely known Earth existed. Merchant networks exchanged stories. Independent colonies discussed battle footage. Neutral observers analyzed combat recordings. The same conclusion appeared repeatedly. Humans learned frighteningly fast. Every encounter made them stronger. Every setback taught them something useful. On Aurelius Prime, concern replaced confidence. The Galactic Council convened another emergency session. Delegates examined fresh intelligence. Destroyed supply depots. Captured installations. Compromised communication networks. A counselor from the Vayari Collective leaned forward. How are they adapting this quickly? Military analysts struggled to answer. The truth sounded absurd. Humanity simply processed information faster than expected. They experimented constantly. They questioned assumptions. Most importantly, they refused to follow predictable patterns. The meeting grew tense. Then another report arrived. Evidence suggested Vextor had exaggerated humanity's threat before the invasion. The chamber erupted. Accusations spread immediately. Political support for the campaign began to fracture. Far from council space, the war intensified. Human fleets continued striking strategic locations with surgical precision. One operation stood above the rest. Dominion intelligence had identified a massive supercarrier operating near the outer frontier. The vessel coordinated regional fleet movements and housed thousands of personnel. Destroying it would cripple enemy operations. Unfortunately, reaching it required passing through overwhelming defenses. The mission carried little chance of survival. Captain Marcus Hale volunteered anyway. When Ward received the request, he contacted the officer directly. You understand the odds? Hale nodded from the bridge of his cruiser. I do. There may be another option. No, sir. There isn't. For a moment, neither man spoke. Finally, Hale smiled. My crew already knows. Ward looked away briefly. Then back. Bring as many home as you can. The transmission ended. 6 hours later, Hale's task force struck. The attack unfolded with ruthless efficiency. Human vessels punched through defensive screens, absorbing tremendous damage while clearing a path toward the target. One ship after another fell. Still they advanced. Finally, Hale's crippled flagship reached firing range. Every remaining weapon discharged simultaneously. The supercarrier shattered. A blinding flash illuminated the surrounding sector. The explosion could be seen millions of kilometers away. The objective was achieved. None of Hale's ships returned. Across Earth, citizens watched the news in silence. Memorials appeared within hours. People mourned. Then they returned to work. Factories increased production. Shipyards accelerated construction. Recruitment numbers surged. The sacrifice strengthened resolve rather than weakening it. Vextor watched the aftermath from his flagship. His position was deteriorating. Council support was fading. Supply shortages were worsening. His reputation had suffered severe damage. Only one option remained. He would end the war personally. A new order left Dominion's wrath. Every available fleet received the same command. Abandon peripheral operations. Concentrate forces. Advance on Earth. No more caution. No more delays. The entire armada began moving toward humanity's homeworld. Days later, Admiral Ward stood inside Strategic Command as tactical displays updated continuously. Red markers filled the screen. Thousands of them. The largest concentration of military power ever assembled by the Dominion. An officer broke the silence. They're committing everything. Ward nodded slowly. He had expected this moment. The enemy had finally stopped underestimating humanity. Now came the hardest battle. Beyond Earth's orbit, long-range sensors detected the first elements of the approaching armada. Billions of people watched the reports. Nobody celebrated. Nobody panicked. They simply prepared. Ward studied the expanding wall of hostile ships and spoke quietly. This is it. The command center fell silent. The battle they'll remember for 1,000 years. Chapter 4, The Species That Refuse to Break. The Dominion Armada arrived at Earth like a storm swallowing the stars. Thousands of warships emerged across the outer reaches of the solar system. Sensor displays inside Strategic Command turned red as formation after formation appeared. The sheer scale was staggering. On paper, humanity should have lost. The numbers favored the invaders. The firepower favored the invaders. The experience favored the invaders. Yet Earth had one advantage no analysis could measure. Every person fighting knew exactly what stood behind them. Home. Admiral Ethan Ward stood before the central tactical display. Status. An officer answered immediately. Enemy forces advancing toward defensive perimeter Alpha. Another voice followed. All planetary shields online. A third reported. Reserve fleets ready. Ward nodded. Execute Phase 1. Across the solar system, human defenses activated simultaneously. Orbital platforms opened fire. Missile batteries launched in coordinated waves. Autonomous squadrons surged toward approaching formations. The battle began. Space erupted with flashes of light. Ships vanished beneath explosions. Debris scattered through expanding fields of wreckage. Dominion vessels pushed forward relentlessly, but every kilometer cost them. On Earth, billions watched the conflict unfold. Factories continued operating. Medical centers prepared for casualties. Civilian volunteers supported logistics and communications. Entire nations worked as one system. No government argued. No region stood aside. The threat facing humanity had erased every division. Hours passed. The enemy continued advancing. Inside Dominion's wrath, High Marshal Vexthor observed the fighting. His expression darkened with every update. Human resistance remained far stronger than expected. Again. Always stronger than expected. A commander approached carefully. Our losses are increasing. Maintain pressure. The outer defensive line remains operational. Then destroy it. The officer hesitated. Their coordination is improving. Vexthor rounded on him. They are a single-system species. The bridge fell silent. No one dared answer. At that moment, a new alert appeared. Massive energy signatures emerged far beyond the battlefield. One operator stared in disbelief. Marshal, multiple contacts detected. How many? The officer swallowed. Thousands. Every screen updated. Deep space facilities hidden for generations opened their armored doors. Human warships poured into the conflict. Entire fleets. Entire armadas. A reserve force nobody outside Earth's highest command had known existed. The tactical balance shifted instantly. Back inside Strategic Command, stunned officers watched the reaction spreading through enemy formations. Ward remained calm. Humanity had prepared for disaster long before the first alien ship entered Sol. Hope was never a strategy. Preparation was. Launch counteroffensive operations, he ordered. Fresh fleets accelerated into battle. The attack struck with devastating precision. Human commanders adapted continuously, exploiting every weakness discovered during months of fighting. Dominion formations began fragmenting. Communication failures multiplied. Supply shortages worsened. Command chains collapsed. Then something unexpected happened. Several Dominion captains refused combat orders. Transmissions flooded fleet channels. Questions. Demands. Accusations. Many had learned the truth. The invasion had been built on deception. Humanity had never threatened the galaxy. They had simply refused submission. One by one, ships disengaged. Others surrendered outright. Vexthor watched everything unravel. Years of ambition were dying in front of him. "Re-establish control," he shouted. No response came. Most of his officers understood reality before he did. The war was lost. Minutes later, Dominion's wrath found itself isolated. Human fleets surrounded the flagship from every direction. Weapons locked. Escape routes blocked. A secure transmission appeared. Admiral Ward. Vexthor accepted it. The human commander appeared above the bridge. "High Marshal, surrender." Vexthor laughed bitterly. "You should destroy me." "No." The answer came immediately. "Why?" Ward looked directly at him. "Because ending a war isn't the same thing as becoming what started it." For a moment, Vexthor said nothing. The silence felt heavier than any weapon. Finally, he lowered his head. The order went out. Dominion's wrath powered down its weapons. The war was over. Days later, representatives from across the galaxy gathered on Aurelius Prime. The emergency council session lasted for hours. Evidence of Vexthor's manipulation was presented publicly. Every falsified report. Every distortion. Every lie. The invasion was officially condemned. Then came the unexpected moment. A formal invitation. Humanity was offered membership within the Galactic Council. The proposal passed by an overwhelming margin. Weeks later, Admiral Ward addressed delegates from hundreds of civilizations. The chamber remained completely silent as he stepped forward. "We fought because we had no choice." His voice carried across the vast hall. "We defended our home because every species deserves that right." No applause interrupted him. Everyone listened. Strength isn't measured by worlds conquered. It's measured by what you're willing to protect. For several seconds, nobody moved. Then the chamber rose as one. Years passed. Earth rebuilt. Former enemies became trading partners. New alliances connected regions of space that had once distrusted each other. Human fleets traveled the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as guardians. The species once dismissed as insignificant became a symbol of resilience. The lesson remained unforgettable. The galaxy had mistaken humanity's desire for peace as weakness. After the war, no one made that mistake again.